Hello dear friends, my name is Lily, and I am a student of English literature. I live in London, a big city in England. London is a beautiful city with many parks, museums, and old buildings. I came here to learn English and to see new places. One day, I decided to visit Hyde Park. It was a sunny day in spring. The trees were green, and the flowers were blooming. I walked slowly, enjoying the fresh air. I saw many people in the park. Some were jogging, some were walking their dogs, and some were sitting on the grass, reading books. As I walked, I saw a small pond with ducks swimming in it. I sat on a bench near the pond and watched the ducks. They were so cute. A little girl came with her mother to feed the ducks. She smiled at me, and I smiled back. After some time, I took out a book from my bag. It was an English novel. I started reading, trying to understand every word. Suddenly, an old lady sat next to me. She saw my book and asked, "Do you like reading?" "Yes," I replied. "I am learning English. Reading helps me a lot." The old lady smiled and said, "That's wonderful. Reading is a great way to learn. My name is Mrs. Brown. I come to this park every day. What is your name?" "My name is Lily," I said. Mrs. Brown and I talked for a while. She told me about her life in London. She had lived here for many years. She also recommended some good books for me to read. I was very happy to meet her. The next day, I went to a small cafe near my apartment. It was a cozy place with a warm atmosphere. I ordered a cup of tea and sat near the window. As I sipped my tea, I looked outside and saw people walking by. It started to rain, but the cafe felt warm and safe. Two men were sitting at the table next to mine. They were speaking English, and I tried to listen to their conversation. I understood more than I did a few months ago, but I was still learning. I decided to practice my English by talking to them. "Hello," I said with a smile. "I am learning English. Can I join you?" The men smiled back and invited me to sit with them. They were from Canada, visiting London for a business trip. We talked for about 15 minutes. I told them about my studies and my love for literature. They shared their travel experiences and recommended some books for me to read. When it was time to leave, they gave me their email addresses and invited me to visit Canada someday. This made me very happy. After meeting these friendly Canadians, I continued to work on my English every day. I watched English TV shows and read novels. In 6 months, my English had improved a lot. I could speak more confidently and understand more complex sentences. One day, I decided to join a local book club to practice my English even more. The club met every Wednesday evening. My first meeting was exciting. I met the club's leader, a middle-aged man named Mr. Harris. He was very knowledgeable and passionate about books. Mr. Harris welcomed me warmly and introduced me to the other members. We discussed a famous English novel that I had read before. I was nervous at first, but everyone was very supportive. Mr. Harris gave us a valuable tip for learning new vocabulary. When you read, always have a dictionary with you. Look up words you don't understand and write them down. This way, you will remember them better. I followed his advice, and it helped me a lot. I started reading for at least 30 minutes every day. I chose books that interested me, and I made sure they were at my level. Whenever I found a new word, I looked it up in the dictionary and wrote it in my notebook. As my English improved, I wanted to find a part-time job. One of the book club members suggested I check the local library. The library often needed help with organizing books and assisting visitors. The next day, I went to the library and spoke with the librarian. She told me they had a position available for a library assistant. I could start working on Friday. This was perfect for me because it gave me more opportunities to practice my English and meet new people. On my first day at the library, I was a bit nervous. But the staff was very friendly, and they helped me learn the ropes. I enjoyed helping visitors find books and organizing the shelves. It was a great way to practice speaking English and learn new words related to literature. One of my co-workers, a young woman named Sarah, became a good friend. She was also an English literature student and loved talking about books. We often discussed our favorite authors and stories during our breaks. Sarah told me about a technique called shadowing that she used to improve her pronunciation. Shadowing is simple, she explained. You listen to someone speaking English and repeat what they say. It helps you get the pronunciation right and improves your speaking skills. I tried shadowing with Sarah's help. We listened to audiobooks and repeated the sentences together. It was fun and very effective. My pronunciation improved significantly, and I felt more confident speaking English. One day, a new member joined our book club. Her name was Maria, and she was from Spain. Maria's English was already quite good, but she wanted to get even better. She shared a technique called thinking aloud with us. I think in English and say my thoughts out loud, Maria said. It helps me practice speaking and makes me more fluent. I decided to try thinking aloud. At first, it felt a bit strange, but I soon got used to it. I would describe my day, my thoughts, and my plans in English. This practice made me more comfortable with the language and improved my fluency. As weeks passed, I continued to enjoy my life in London. I learned so much from my classes, the book club, and my job at the library. I made new friends and discovered new techniques to improve my English every day. One sunny Saturday morning, I decided to explore a new part of London. I had heard about a beautiful park called Regent's Park, so I took the tube and headed there. As I walked through the park, I saw people jogging, children playing, and families having picnics. It was a lively and picturesque scene. While strolling around, I noticed a group of people gathered around a small stage. Curious, I walked over to see what was happening. It was a group of actors performing a play. I found a spot to sit and watched the performance. The actors spoke clearly, and I could understand most of the dialogue. It was a wonderful way to practice listening to English in a natural setting. After the play, I felt inspired to visit a nearby museum. The British Museum was not far from the park, so I decided to go there. The museum was enormous, filled with artifacts from all over the world. I took my time walking through the exhibits, reading the descriptions, and learning new words related to history and culture. In one of the rooms, I met an elderly gentleman who was also admiring the artifacts. He noticed I was reading the descriptions intently and asked if I was a history student. I told him that I was learning English and that visiting museums was one of my ways to improve my language skills. "That's a fantastic idea," he said. "Learning through context is very effective." If you ever have any questions about English or the artifacts, feel free to ask. We spent the next hour discussing the exhibits. He was very knowledgeable and explained many interesting facts. It was like having a personal tour guide. Before leaving, he recommended a few books about British history that I might find helpful. On Sunday, I went to a local market with Sarah. The market was bustling with vendors selling fresh produce, handmade crafts, and delicious street food. It was a great opportunity to practice English in a casual environment. We talked to the vendors, asked about their products, and even haggled over prices. It was a lot of fun and helped me become more comfortable with everyday conversations. That evening, Sarah and I decided to try cooking a traditional British dish. We chose to make fish and chips. We followed a recipe and cooked together, chatting in English the whole time. It was a fun and delicious way to practice the language. The following week, I had my first English presentation at school. I was a bit nervous, but I remembered the techniques I had learned, like shadowing and thinking aloud. I practiced my presentation several times, using shadowing to improve my pronunciation and thinking aloud to organize my thoughts. When the day of the presentation arrived, I stood in front of the class and began to speak. To my surprise, I felt confident and fluent. My classmates listened attentively, and my teacher praised my progress. It was a proud moment for me. After the presentation, Elizabeth, the student from Italy, approached me. "You did a great job, Jenny," she said. "Your pronunciation has really improved." "Thank you, Elizabeth," I replied. "Your tips and the techniques we've learned have helped me a lot." Elizabeth and I became good friends. We often studied together, sharing our experiences and helping each other with difficult words and grammar. We even started a small study group with other students from our class. We met twice a week to practice speaking, review vocabulary, and support each other's learning. One day, our teacher announced that we would have a special guest speaker. It was a famous author who wrote in English as a second language. She shared her journey of learning English and becoming a successful writer. Her story was very inspiring, and she gave us valuable advice.